We are going to get a bunch of people on here all at the same time. I know I'm putting Colson on the spot here because we have quite a few people that are going to be jumping on this next conversation.
Yeah, you're directing the show as it goes. I'm impressed.
I mean, I'm not doing anything. This is all Colson.
Wow.
But I mean, the people that are going to be joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, I'm really looking forward to this. A couple of women from right here in Saskatchewan who were recently drafted to the Women's Pro Baseball League, the WPBL. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Robyn from the Saskatchewan Sport Hall of Fame, Robyn Jensen. She's the curator over there. And she invited me to be a part of this panel with Addie Ziebart and Braidy Birdsall to talk about women in baseball. See, there's all of us on the big screen here. Thank you so much for joining us. First and foremost, Addie and Braidy and Robyn joining us in studio. Thanks for taking the time, you guys.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, not everybody all at once. It's all
that's right. Well, yeah.
You know, for the first time since 1954, professional women's baseball is set to return in 2026 with the launch of the WPBL, the first women's pro baseball league in the United States in more than 7 decades. This is such a cool opportunity, and obviously some very talented athletes joining us here to talk about it who will be playing in this league. But Robyn, first of all, maybe just give us kind of a rundown for those who haven't had a chance to watch the panel discussion yet, just how you felt the whole thing went and really what the purpose of it all was.
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I actually watched the inaugural draft and watched you guys in real time get drafted into the Pro Women's Baseball League, and I was so excited. And I just thought, this is history happening right now. And I thought, I really want to sit down and have like a conversation with Addie and Braidy and bring in someone who had known and had done a lot of research about Saskatchewan baseball history from the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and then bring you in, Tegan, as well, just to give like that media perspective and really just have like an authentic conversation. And then Women's History Month came up, and I thought this was like a perfect opportunity to do that. And so I invited all of you on to do kind of like a panel, women's panel, just to talk about history in baseball, talk about it, past, present, and future. And it was wonderful. It was so great. It was such an authentic conversation.
I had a lot of fun being a part of it, and I learned a lot, especially from Addie and Braidy, who, by the way, were drafted back to back. So I'm assuming that you guys have trauma bonded a little bit over that, hey?
Yeah, a little.
So Robyn, of course, kind enough to include us in these conversations. But, I kind of wanted just to throw this out to you. Maybe first, Addie, you've talked about this opportunity and when you finally saw your name on that draft board, maybe just take us into your mind and what was going through it as you were like, wow, okay, this is officially going to be a thing and I get to play professional ball in this brand new league.
It was such a surreal moment because it's something I've never really thought about having happen to me. Lots of boys grow up and that's their dream, but for a lot of girls playing baseball, that's not something we've even thought about dreaming about. So just seeing your name on a board, getting drafted into a pro league it's something you can't even explain. It's amazing.
And Braidy, I want to toss it over to you real quick here because your path to baseball wasn't exactly what you would consider to be typical, right? I mean, you spent years competing in martial arts before switching to baseball. So how has that background kind of helped shape the way that you approach the game today?
Yeah, I was really lucky. My parents put me in like a bunch of different sports. So I was able to develop like a bunch of different skills. It's really given me like a well-rounded view on sports. There's so many different aspects that you can enjoy. And I think that it made me appreciate baseball a lot more because baseball is just so unique. I fell in love with a sport where you fail so much and it's just tough. But no, I absolutely love it. Coming into baseball a little later on in life didn't change my love for the game. So I was just excited about it.
Addie, you kind of mentioned the fact that when you looked at it, all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to be a professional baseball player. If I rewound the clock, at what point did you think that dream could become a reality? Was this months ago, years ago? When did you think this opportunity first came to you?
The first time I even thought it was an opportunity was as soon as they announced the WPBL and they said they were going to have open tryouts. And so I thought this could be my opportunity. This could be my chance to play pro ball, which is something that obviously anyone playing for sport hopes to go pro. But yeah, it was really cool opportunity. And then once I got the email saying that I got invited to tryouts in Washington, D.C., and then probably the most surreal moment was playing on Washington National Stadium, just standing in a pro stadium and just feeling what it would feel like to be a pro.
How about for you, Brady?
So my experience with the WPBL was a bit different. So I was actually injured that year. So it kind of took me out through the whole summer. So I wasn't able to go to nationals and I wasn't able to go to the tryout. So when I first heard about it, I thought that was more of a goal in the future when I was getting older and, coming back to sport and I'm healthy. But then I decided to submit a video that I created for Team Canada originally. And they ended up selecting me based off of that. So I was just really excited to even be considered. I was just hoping to be kept in the loop, but I made it a lot farther than I thought.
Robyn, when it comes to the history of baseball in our province, though, again, there are a lot of unique facets, right? We explored and discovered how African Americans were welcomed into Saskatchewan to play ball. And as far as I know, it's been the same for the women's game as well. Have you seen that as well in some of the research that you've done with the women that are given an opportunity to play?
I mean, baseball has been available to women since, I remember having a conversation with my grandma who's 97 years old and she's a huge Blue Jays fan. And I asked her, I said, when did you start playing baseball, Grandma? And she's like, I started playing it in the one-room schools. And then she was on playing with the boys, and then they would go and they would compete with the other schools. And baseball for women has always been here, and so when the opportunity came where they could be elevated, we were ready, right? Mm-hmm. We had players that were ready to go. And I think that's proven throughout history. Saskatoon had a ball team called the Regina Pats, starting out in the 1920s. And Ethel Cathelwood, I don't know if you know Ethel, yeah. Saskatoon Lily, her and her sister Ginger were baseball players. So, I mean, history can show that, Saskatchewan can produce really good female baseball players, and the All-American girls really, showed that. We continued to play, and now the pro-professional leg, and these girls can come up and they can start playing. So yeah, Saskatchewan can give those opportunities for sure.
And Robyn, you've done so much work to preserve baseball's history, specifically in this province. And it's so cool that you're able to tell the stories of the past, the present, the future. We have the future on this call with us right now. Why is it so important to continue telling these stories? I mean, you specifically mentioned Mary Bonnie Baker, even when we were on this panel discussion, and how cool it was that she actually got her start as a broadcaster on this very radio station, the first ever female sportscaster in Canada.
Yeah, I think it's important to it's important. A lot of people don't know that history, right? And I think, my job as a historian, my job as a curator is to bring those stories into life. We talked about our African descent baseball team that played in Indian Head. The All-American girls baseball team is pretty well known, but we have to expand on that. We have to, keep telling those stories. And like Maureen Ulrich in our conversation said, we're such a visual culture. And those baseball games that the women played back in the day were not recorded. They weren't on the radio. You have a few little newspaper clippings about them. And so, you have to keep the history that you find, you have to keep telling it, so the next generation can come up and can learn about it. And perfect example is the Indian Head Rockets tribute game out at Curry Field. We had a whole new generation of kids come up and meet Nat and Willie and learn about that history and walk away, being proud of that in our province. And so we just need to keep telling those stories.
When Keegan and I were kind of talking about this, and I was trying to do some research, the one thing that I found online was there was a sub-headline in a Boston newspaper that said, and now they have a league of their own. And obviously paying reference to the movie that starred Gina Davis, and the list goes on and on. Having said that, I guess I'll ask you, Addie, is it lost on you the opportunity that you had? Because you've obviously earned this, but it's paving the way for a whole new a generation of players that maybe didn't have opportunities that you've had.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the most exciting part about it, is that you have the opportunity to pave the way for these girls growing up. And I know coaching them and being around them, you just see what an influence it is to them, and to encourage them to keep in baseball because they see a path somewhere that they can go with it. instead of having to switch to from baseball to softball, because softball has pro league and softball has college. Now we're seeing baseball create college programs, and we have the WPBL. So yeah, it's definitely super important to be able to influence those young girls and pave the way for them as well.
Braidy, question for you. First of all, of course, you can watch the stream at sportscage.com. You'll see that Braidy has made her bed today, so that's fantastic news there. But kidding aside, how much better of a player are you than Addie that you got selected before her in the draft? No, I'm kidding. I'm not asking that question either. I am going to ask, though, at what point did you fall in love with the game, and how did you hone your skills to get to this point?
Falling in love with the game was kind of a gradual process. Like, the more I competed and the more I progressed and improved, the more I fell in love with it. I think falling in love with the process was the best thing that I did with this sport. It just makes you hungry for more. You always want to be better. Just everything about it, just, I don't know, it just makes me happy. Like, the first time I saw the Team Canada play, I watched, can't remember what game, but I watched the bunch of teammates, like Amy from Saskatchewan. She played on Team Canada, and I watched her pitch, and that was the first time I watched an all-girls World Series sort of thing. So that right there was probably a big spark in my goal to make my career, professional or as high as I could take it.
Addie, was there pressure on you to switch to softball? Again, I know a number of athletes that play softball, and it's just a different sport, different game. Was there that pressure on you, and what made you select baseball overall, and how did you hone your skills to get to this point?
Yeah, there's always been that pressure. People ask you, why do you play baseball with the boys? Why don't you switch to softball? Don't you want to play with girls? And I think it's just the love for the game. I think people don't understand how different baseball and softball really are. Especially once you hit about high school age, people say, there's more opportunities for you in softball, and you can go to college and all these other things. But when you love the game, it's just hard to step away from it. And I think that's really why I stuck with baseball, is because I fell in love with it at the age of 13, and I'm still in love with it now.
So, Robyn, I think I'm going to throw this back over to you real quick here. Seeing Saskatchewan athletes like Braidy and Addie getting drafted into this new league, how significant is this moment for the young girls playing baseball in the province right now from your perspective?
Well, I think it stems from the conversation that we had a few days ago when I asked Addie and Braidy, when you were a young girl playing baseball, could you actually see yourself playing in a pro league? And they said no. And so now we have them here sitting here just a few months later, and they're, saying that, yes, here I am playing in a pro baseball league. It's so important for these young girls to see Addie and Braidy in this sphere, succeeding, following their dreams, working hard, because these two young athletes are now going to be mentors to this next generation of girls coming up. No pressure, guys. But, but it's so exciting to see. Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm not mistaken, Addie, Braidy, you guys are going to be back in the province playing some ball a little bit later on this summer, right? Maybe tell us about that, Braidy.
Yes, we will be.
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what's going on, so Addie probably has more information about that. So I'm in Ontario for schooling, so I was just trying to get through my school and then figure out what's going on when I get
Understandable.
back.
Addie, you're up.
Well, May long weekend, we have a showcase where Manitoba is going to come into the province. We're going to have a training day and play a couple scrimmages against them, be able to show off some of our talents in Saskatoon. And then we'll also have the Sask World Series, which will be our 19UN senior team playing each other the second weekend of June.
Awesome stuff. So what is the next step as you get closer to the professional season? How does that work for both of you? And I guess, Braidy, you get to go first, unless you're still in school.
Just training. So I'm at Laurentian University in Sudbury, Ontario, taking sports psychology, but I'm lucky enough to play with the men's league here. So I'm the only female in the OUA, the Voyagers team. They're amazing. Lots of practice, lots of fun. So we train every day. We have team practices every week, plus lifts. So it's just getting at baseball as much as you can, doing the little things right, and then getting as much exposure to like live game situations as you possibly can. And then when I get back home, I'll be really excited to see Team Sask again and go back to all those practices back home.
And for you, Addie?
Yeah, just practicing, building up for nationals. Nationals for the women's championship are in Winnipeg this year, so we're just ramping up to get to those because that's where the Team Canada coach will be, WPBL scouts will be. So having a good showing at that tournament will be fundamental in making Team Canada, making the WPBL, and having an impact in girls ball.
We cannot wait to follow along from afar and watch the journey unfold here. So first of all, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Addie Ziebart and Braidy Birdsall, thank you very much for taking the time. And same goes for you, Robyn. I know that it was hard to jam in all of this in such a short time frame. So I encourage everybody to go to the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame website and go listen to the entire panel discussion because, I mean, you are all so gracious with your time. Appreciate it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.